Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and we have one of the most highly anticipated Mattel Jurassic World figures ever to enter my collection and probably to hit my YouTube channel here as far as a review goes, although there are plenty of reviews out already for this figure because it's been released, in other places of the world for quite some time. It actually took forever for us here in the United States to get this, and this is obviously the Apatosaurus. It just recently has started to show up in stock in store at Target, as well as, of course, the pre-orders that people had placed on the Target website have been fulfilled, or at least, are in the process of it. I actually did not pre-order it, but I did see that it was in stock on Target.com, so I placed an order, and we now have it here to take a look at. Really nice box art, which we have seen prior to this, but the box art looks beautiful. We have an image down here displaying someone here holding the Apatosaurus and showing us just how insanely large it's going to be, as well as kind of a silhouette up here with the size. Nice to see a silhouette of the dinosaur that is actually on the box, because if you can recall, the early Brachiosaurus box had the Apatosaurus silhouette as opposed to a Brachiosaurus, which is exactly the one that I have in my collection. Then over here on the side, we have Jurassic World Legacy Collection, and then we come up here, we've got another image of the Apatosaurus, again with that same child there holding it, exactly the same image as what we see on the front, and another area there showing us the size. And then if we go around to the back, it's actually the same image, or yeah, it definitely looks to be the same as what we had seen on the front, but it's now sideways. And we also have an image down here showing off the Raptor set that is available at Target as well. So I'm psyched to get this out of the box. I've waited a very long time to see this figure in hand and in person, so let's pop it out of its box right now. Okay, so you see images, you see video, you see all kinds of stuff about the Apatosaurus, but I really don't know that you can be prepared for the true enormous size of this figure. This thing is gigantic. You can see it just runs all throughout my review station, completely exceeding the area that I have for my reviews here. This thing is just massive. If we actually go back here, I can't even probably get the entire thing here in screen. It is that absolutely huge, and honestly, it's the biggest Mattel figure, I would say, out there. I definitely feel like, as far as like the overall length and body mass, it is bigger than the Brachiosaurus, or at least very, very close. But I am just honestly flabbergasted by how incredible this thing is. And what's even crazier is to think that these figures here are only like $55 for this absolutely gigantic Apatosaurus. Like, that is just mind-blowing. So I'm psyched, beyond psyched to have this here finally. Let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look right now. So I don't know that I'm actually going to succeed in reviewing this, because I may end up destroying my review station trying to move it around. It is so huge. But you can see straight away up here at the top of the dinosaur at the head, you can see that the sculpt is gorgeous. Look at the detail around the eye. That is so stinking nice. Absolutely beautiful looking detail there around the eye. So many wrinkles, so much beautiful texturing to the skin. And the Apatosaurus primarily has like a really nice, very dark greenish coloration, but they've beautifully dry brushed a lot of the detail here on the face out, especially around the eye. And I think that was a really nice touch on the part of Mattel. Absolutely makes the face pop and look so lifelike. The eye is painted with nothing more than a black, and it is entirely glossy, which I love. I think the eye looks fantastic, very realistic and very lifelike. The nostrils are sculpted out up here at the tip of the snout, and you can see that there is just phenomenal detailing all throughout the entire head sculpt of this Apatosaurus. We also have the ears sculpted out back here, and you can see that that dry brushing here continues up here to the top of the head. Like, it's just very, very abundant throughout the course of the entire head sculpt, or at least the upper half of the head sculpt of the Apatosaurus. We do have an articulated jaw. If I can position this in a way that we can get in there. There we go. We can see the teeth on the inside of the mouth right there, and I'm dragging the Apatosaurus along some stuff over here. I think I just drove it along my light, but you can see the teeth look pretty nice. You can also see a little area of like a skin flap right there. And it's a very nice pinkish coloration in there. If we take a look here, lower jaw, the inside of the mouth. Oh boy, this is really hard to do. There we go. We can see the tongue and stuff in there. Again, very nicely sculpted, very nicely painted teeth. Everything looks very precise inside the mouth. We also have a beautiful gloss coat in there. So that is a very nice inside of the mouth of an Apatosaurus, and I'm really impressive to see that we have an articulated jaw on it, and it works so smoothly, really nicely done. You can also see that the Apatosaurus again has that darker green, but as we transition to the underside of the Apatosaurus, you can see that we get a different variation of green, and it looks really beautiful. I love the coloration of this Apatosaurus, and you can see even more incredible detailing here on the underside of the head area leading down into the throat. As you actually come down into the throat, you can kind of pick out the throat itself, but you have lots of skin wrinkles and stuff throughout. Incredible looking texturing to the skin. Again, the detail is actually really nice and vibrant throughout the course of this Apatosaurus, and you can see that we have this kind of like lighter coloration that starts to stripe down, and it actually runs the entire course of the Apatosaurus, which makes the entire thing look so much nicer. You can even see right here on the underside of the neck, we continue to have that really nice different variation of green, which just adds such a beautiful appearance to the figure overall, just giving it so much more of an appeal factor with so much paint application to it. And you can continue to see how nice the skin texture looks the entire course of the neck. As the neck starts to widen up, we reach the body right here. You can again see that the detailing does look really nice, and we continue to have these kind of like splotchy stripes that run down the course of the back of the Apatosaurus. And again, they continue to run the course of the back and even run down here into the side of the stomach region a little bit of our Apatosaurus. And I like how they're not just like really solid stripes, like there's areas in between where you can see the alternate variation of green popping up, which looks really neat and just gives it so much more of a lifelike appearance. You can kind of make out the shoulder blade right there. As we move down into the front leg, you have some really nice skin wrinkles and skin creasing going on right there. As my camera tries to focus on the muscle definition here, obviously this Apatosaurus is very muscular, so much so that my camera can't even focus on it, it seems. But you can see the muscle definition here on the front leg looks really nice. You have some nice creases here in the joint of the elbow. As you move down into the foot sculpt looks really, really nice, but unfortunately the nails are not actually painted. They do have a gloss coat to them, so they shine like they kind of have paint application, but the nails themselves don't have any alternate paint variation, which would have been nice to have like a black or some gray or something, but it's not the end of the world, just something to take note of. But it is a really nice looking foot sculpt. As we move back up into the stomach region, again you can see how incredibly nice the skin texture is throughout. Some more skin wrinkles and stuff down here, kind of like some skin folds, some nice girth in the stomach region as well, and you can even make out the rib cage a little bit right here, just very lightly poking through the skin right there. It's a very well-fed dinosaur, so it wouldn't be showing off too much, but I feel like it's honestly like the perfect amount of rib cage to be shown. If we take a look up here at the back of our Apatosaurus, you can see that the spinal column is nicely elaborated up here. It looks really good. And then we run down here into the thigh. We have more of that kind of lighter coloration down here in the thigh, which continues to make the entire thing look so nice as far as the paint application goes. I absolutely love the paint apps of this Apatosaurus. And you can see again how it just kind of like splotches everywhere and just kind of spots in certain areas. It looks so nice because of that. And you can also see the really nice looking skin texture as we move down the course of the thigh. Very nice muscle definition, which may or may not be all that visible considering how close the Apatosaurus is to the camera right now. But as we move down, we can see the kneecap right there, as well as a very large bulging calf muscle. And then again, a beautiful looking foot sculpt back here as well. Unfortunately, yet again, no nail paint, but you have some really nice creasing right there in the ankle area. But again, it does still sport a bit of a glossy look. You can even see, though, that the nails do sport some really nice cracks and crevices within, so that the detail does look really good there as well. And then we move up into the tail. You can see more nice creasing and stuff right here. As we run out into the course of the tail, even more right here, you can see a nice joint right there to articulate the tail. And then the tail actually does look really nice. It is unfortunately a little bit too short as far as what we would like to see on an Apatosaurus, but we don't expect perfection when it comes to Mattel figures. I think this is about as nice as it gets, and the tail actually does have a pretty good length to it. You can see that the greenish coloration, this lighter green, does run out to about here, and then it stops. And then if I can actually get this Apatosaurus to move up without breaking everything, you can see that we run out the rest of the tail with just the dark primary body color of that green, and then this kind of just is completely gone. If we look here at the underside though, you can see that the detailing down here also looks really, really good as we run through the course of the underside of our Apatosaurus. You can see that the alternate variation of green picks up right here and actually like completely tapers off right here around the midsection of like the thighs and stuff here of the Apatosaurus, but then we can see it runs up throughout the course of the underside. Very nice, very smooth transition back and forth between that variation of green. And we also have the Jurassic Facts app code for the Apatosaurus if you would like to add this to your collection. But I'm going to go ahead and carefully bring this back up now. So honestly, there's not really too much difference that you're going to see on the opposing side, and I don't know that we'd really be able to capture it too well regardless, but you can see that the legs are in a slightly different position. Both legs slightly different, but that's honestly the only real difference that you'd probably see on this side over the opposing side. Again, the head sculpt looks really, really beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous head sculpt. But in general, the entire Apatosaurus is just absolutely phenomenal. It is definitely one of those figures that when you take it out of the box, your mind is blown and you are honestly in awe at how impressive of a figure it truly is. This Apatosaurus might be the best Mattel figure yet. As far as a size goes, I think we'll do the size, then we'll check out some of the articulation, and this is going to be a little tough in its own right to get a size on this. But for a length, you are looking at about 39.5 inches, or right around 100.5 centimeters. So again, super, super long. And then as far as a height goes, you're looking at about 11.75 inches or about 30 centimeters. Impossible for you to see it from that angle right there, but trust me, that's what it is. And then as far as the articulation of our Apatosaurus goes, you can see that we have, again, the jaw articulation, which works really nicely. You also have articulation here in the neck, which can swivel the head completely around if you would choose to, but also just allows some nice posability with your Apatosaurus. Like the head can go up, down, it can go left or right. Some really smooth articulation there. You also have a joint here in the base of the neck where it connects to the body, where we can move the neck left or right. Again, allowing some more really nice posability for our Apatosaurus. It would have been nice to have the ability to like move the neck up and down as well, but can't get everything, I guess. That's just being a little bit nitpicky with something so impressive. Of course, we have articulation in the legs, which can go forward and back, but I only have one hand currently to display this. So there we go. We can see how that leg moves right there. Doesn't seem like we have any ankle articulation or anything like we sometimes get for Mattel figures. And then, of course, we have the tail articulation, which I will set this back down to show this off. There we go. Same deal as far as the neck articulation. It's that same style of just kind of back and forth. Doesn't seem like it goes up and down, doesn't swivel or anything like that. So just back and forth, which again does create some pretty fun possibilities as far as posability for your Apatosaurus, but it's definitely not the most articulated figure that we've ever had from Mattel. Still, however, not bad. For a size comparison, here is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus Robert Muldoon, as well as the Gilingosaurus back here to show you how crazy huge this Apatosaurus is. That is insanely, insanely impressive. Just looking at Mr. Papo Rex, you know it's a big figure if he can just stand clean under the neck of the figure. I can't even begin to stress how unbelievably impressive the size aspect of this Apatosaurus is. I know I expected it to be big, but I really didn't expect it to be quite as large as it is. Easily one of the most impressive figures I think I'll ever see in my entire life. For a second size comparison, here is the Mattel Indominus Rex in comparison to the Apatosaurus here, showing you again the ridiculously large size of this Apatosaurus. We have to go outside to take a look at these two together because we could barely fit the Apatosaurus on the review station. We certainly were not going to fit two gigantic sauropods on the review station at once. So looking at the Brachiosaurus and Apatosaurus together straight away, what an incredible scene with two such impressively large sauropods standing together. But you can also see that, again, both of them have such an impressive size to them, such an overall presence to both of them, and I think seeing both of them in comparison to each other, we can see that they're very similar as far as like the overall body mass. Obviously, the Apatosaurus is a little longer, but regardless, they are still two incredible figures, and what a world we live in when Mattel is giving us insanely awesome figures like this. I am so happy that Mattel took over the Jurassic World line. Of course, we don't always get exactly what we're looking for, but we do get figures as incredible as this that I don't think we would have ever gotten if any other company had taken over the Jurassic line. So even though there are at times things to complain about the Mattel Jurassic World line, they make up for it in other instances with something as amazing as this. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Legacy Collection Apatosaurus is one of the most impressive Jurassic World figures, if not the most impressive Jurassic World figure that has ever existed. Since the onset of the Mattel line, they have done a great job of impressing us continuously, time and time again. But it's not often that I get as impressed as I truly am here looking at this Apatosaurus here in all of its glory. It is such a sight to behold in hand, and I honestly have to recommend that you guys just go and pick one up. I, of course, will include a link in the description to Target's listing where they do have them for sale, or at least they did. I don't know for sure if it's still in stock, but I'm certain it's going to keep coming in and out of stock as time goes on. But again, this is a very, very high recommendation from me, if you have the room for it, I should say, because this is absolutely going to take up some massive space in your collection, being so gigantically huge, but it is worth making space for. The sculpt is insanely highly detailed and honestly looks so much so like the Apatosaurus from Jurassic World. Like, they really nailed the overall appearance to it. Of course, the only thing that is a little off would be the length of the tail, but considering this is basically just a toy for kids and, of course, us collectors, it's something that you have to look past, because I don't think that they would have made it with the accurate length of the tail, and they never do. Every time we get a Mattel figure, the tail is never exactly the length that it should be. However, I will say that the length of the tail that we do have here is actually quite nice, and I overall am a fan of the size of the tail, but just generally the sculpt is unbelievably impressive here in hand. Again, the size is the most impressive aspect of the model, but the model's detail itself is actually really, really well done. Very highly detailed. I would love to repaint one of these, but being so huge, it would take forever, so I almost would dread repainting it just because it's so huge. The paint application as well is also really nicely done. Mattel really did a great job of kind of going out of what I would say would be their comfort zone and applying even more paint to the figure than they normally would. And it looks honestly phenomenal with the extra paint application. And it just reassures me the fact that Mattel could release such better quality products with more paint application on them. This here is a prime example of that argument, because you could see how nice it looks with the extra paint running out onto the tail, the really nice dry brushing on the face, and the coloration there on the underside, almost reaching the tail. Like, it would have been nice for it to go the whole way, but the fact that we have it from underneath the lower jaw and throat area all the way down throughout the course of almost the entire stomach just shows off how nice the figure actually can look. Like, they didn't stop that paint in the neck anywhere like they do often, and it looks so much nicer because, again, there's so much paint application. The only gripe about the paint that they could have improved the figure with would have been a little more paint on the nails, or like any paint on the nails, as opposed to just that kind of glossy look. If we had like a black or a gray or something down there for the nails, it would have certainly looked a little better, but that's such a minor nitpick. And honestly, I think the figure is just a phenomenal release in every sense of the word, like just unbelievable. And on top of everything, you have some pretty fun articulation, nothing incredible, but still decent enough, I would say, and definitely, pretty much the articulation you would expect for a dinosaur like this. It would have been nice to have a little more articulation in the neck, but what we do have is still really well done. So as a whole, this is one of the most mind-blowingly awesome figures that Mattel has ever released, and without question, this is a must-have for any Mattel collector or Jurassic World collector. So again, check the link in the description to where I will include a link to Target.com where I purchased mine. Make sure that if it is in stock or does come back into stock, you pick it up, or of course you can find it in store at Target as well. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.